a lot of guys will tell me I can't be on the street. I can't. I can't be on the street. A lot of dudes with state raised. A lot of dudes went from juvenile hall to YA to prison. I mean, I've even had grandpas, brothers, uncles, sons, all on the same yard.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. What's going on, Black and Blue fan? Welcome to the latest edition of the Black and Blue Podcast, where we celebrate diversity in U.S. law enforcement. You know the name. My name is Dale, and I'm the host. Thank you for joining me for this episode, because I got another good one for you today. But before we get into that, let me ask y'all, please click those like, subscribe, and bell icons right down here on my YouTube channel. And if you listen to me on your favorite podcast platform, make sure you rate the Black and Blue Podcast 5 stars. And finally, make sure you follow me on any one of my social media pages for even more content. You can find me everywhere at Black and Blue US. All right, so with that out the way, let's get into it. My guest today worked in one of the most populous prison environments in the United States. And now that he's recently retired, he's bringing his knowledge, skills, and abilities to help train others in safety and defense. So come on, y'all, let's give a warm Black and Blue welcome to recently retired California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation Officer, Anthony Stewart. What's going on, fam?
Good morning, Bill. I'm good.
How you doing?
Absolutely.
How you doing? You looking crispy?
Yeah, thank you so much.
What's good with you today, man?
Everything's good. Retirement, good. Everything's good.
Retirement, man. Yeah. I'm gonna get there one day.
Yeah.
How long you been retired now?
December 13, 2023.
Nice. And how long did you do?
24 years. If I'd have stayed some more days, January was my anniversary. Been 25 years.
It wasn't worth it for you to stay?
Absolutely not. No. Level 4 prison. It take years. Months is years. Take years off the life. So yeah, I got out of there.
Yeah. The inmates usually the ones counting the days, but you guys watching them be counting the days too, right?
Yeah, everybody got a time book in their pocket. Looking at how long.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. And so you out here in California, recently retired, and you still out here in Cali?
Yes. I'm still in California, born and raised in San Bernardino, went to school in Rialto. And that's where I grew up.
Okay, all right. And then where'd you work last?
Okay, so I started working in juvenile facilities, working with juvenile offenders when I was 18, that had adult crime. So we had a mixture of Mexican and Black gang members from all the Inland Empire in a group home setting. The thing was that all of the juvenile offenders had adult crimes. Most of them had, 90% of them had murders. We had a lot of them with robberies, but most and actually I was working for my dad at Stewart's Home for Boys at the time.
Nice. And then so you were working for your dad. He had a group home. What was that about?
He was the first. He was the pioneer in the Inland Empire that had group homes in the Inland Empire with juvenile offenders. And he would get a house, 3-4 bedroom house, and put 2 in a room, and would just try to give them another chance. At that time, the county juvenile hall and the state, they really weren't in the house, warehousing youths yet. So they were trying not to send a lot of youth offenders to YA. So
Right.
they put them in a group home setting.
And what sort of things did he do to kind of help rehabilitate him?
Oh, well, you know what, Dale, 100% of them did have a father. So
Yeah.
seeing my dad and then all his staff were men at that time. That's really all these guys wanted to see, like a male figure, not in crime, actually trying to help you, trying to be a mentor to you. And a lot of guys were receptive to that. A lot of guys were, a lot of their family members taught them how to be criminals. You teach your kids how to walk, eat, clean themselves. But, the addition to that were, I got, the guys were saying, I got taught how to gangbang. I got taught how to steal. I got taught how to rob, break into houses. So, yeah.
Right. And then any of them make it out that life?
Yeah, a lot. You know what? A lot of them did. My dad probably dealt with in the late 80s and 90s. He probably had at least 1,000 boys come through his group home. Now, mind you, gangbanging was real fresh at the time. So a lot of the majority of the guys didn't make it. The majority of guys went on to prison. A lot of guys, got life sentences, after the group home. You can't save everybody, but at least, they would always write to my dad and said, Clyde, you showed me a different way. I chose this. You took me to get my high school diploma. You helped me get a job. Just we used to do mock interviews. So we would let the guys dress up, like they were going to an interview, and they would come in sagging their Levi's, shirt all buttoned up, and then we would say,
right.
and then we would say, this is how you dress for an interview. And then we would film them too, so they can see their self, if their knees going all nervous, or they're, trying to pick their nails or stuff like that. And we would try to give them, independent living skills to try to succeed. It was, we were behind, years behind of what they learned, but we did the best we could.
Wow, that's what's up. That's up. And then you kind of saw that example, and is that kind of what pushed you into going into corrections?
No, I tried my hand at firefighting because of the movie Backdraft. So it looked cool at the time.
You said the movie Backdraft.
Yeah, remember that movie? It was like in '96. I don't know.
I remember that. That was I think that was Ron Howard. Ron Howard directed that. Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah. So it looked cool. Riding on the engine. Being, everybody waving to you, looking, So that's what I wanted to do. I went on a couple of fatality calls, which were my first ones. A vehicle fire where it was a vehicle fire in one of those Pinto cars, and the little kids at that time, the 80s and the 90s was wild. Like you could ride in the back of a truck at that time. So the lady had her kids in the hatchback part of the Pinto. The car was engulfed in flames, and I just remember seeing 4 little handprints beating on the window. We, of course, we couldn't save them. It was too late, smoke inhalation. But and then another fatality I went on was a pregnant lady had passed away in a car crash. So, and then prior to that, I had put my application with the Department of Corrections. So the application came right on time. I got out, took my academy date, and I was off.
Yeah, man. I do say that, because we make fun of firefighters. Yeah, good fun, working in police work and all that. And I say that when they work, because half the time they just chilling and barbecuing and working out and all that. But when they work, they do work, especially out here in California with all these wildfires in the summer. They put them boys to work, man. And I'm like, man, it'd be hot up in there. It's already 100 degrees out. Right. Then they in these hot suits and they in fire, working close to the fire. And like, I give it to them when they do that. But that's only 30 days out the year.
They always say every cop want to be a firefighter and every firefighter want to be a cop.
Yeah, that's true, man. But it's all in good fun. It's all in good fun. So you got the application, decided that you wanted to get out of firefighting and go into corrections. What was that like for you?
Okay, so my academy was, again, I'm not no military guy. So at that time, the academy was, paramilitary. They say the department is paramilitary.
Yeah.
We had to shine our shoes, make our bed, whatever. I did not know how to do none of that. And a lot of guys that were in my company, they were from the military. We had to march and do all the cadence and all that stuff. I didn't know how to make no bed up like that. So and then at that time, Dale, I was a vegetarian. So um, I used to just have a group of guys around me because all the big dudes wanted, they wanted my portion of, whatever we was eating that day if it was meat. So, they would save my place in line. I didn't have to wake up early. I never made my bed because I was cutting people's hair in the bathroom so they would make my bed. And then I was also I could iron real good, so I was ironing people's stuff so they would shine my shoes. But when the sergeants saw that, they were like, why is everybody following this dude around? What's up? And so they pulled me in the watch office and said, we know you doing something because everybody's always asking for you. And I had to tell them, look, I don't know how to make no bed up to where you bounce a quarter off of it. I don't know how to shine those shoes. I know how to iron. My dad taught me how to iron, so I was ironing people's. I was just hustling, trying to, make it through the academy.
Right.
So, it was a big misunderstanding. They was laughing or whatever, and I made it through. And then I went to Salinas Valley State Prison. That was my, only prison I was at. It was a level 4 in Monterey County. It was right behind Old Soledad.
Okay. Where is Salinas for those of us that don't know?
So Salinas is 360 some odd miles from the Inland Empire. It's right past Paso Robles, California. It's underneath Monterey. Monterey. It's right.
That's a beautiful part of California, though, right?
Yeah,
beautiful up there, no?
Hey, it was a big cultural. I thought I was in another state, man. It was just farmland and beaches.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so you say level 4. What does that mean?
So level 4 is a maximum security prison. So in the Inland Empire, we have Chino, CIM, CIW, CRC. So those are level 1 prisons. So those dudes are getting out. So they're probably doing 5 years, maybe.
Right.
Or our guys have violent crimes on the street, and then they have violent crimes inside the prison. So when they would, you hear people talking about going to the Shoe or Pelican Bay, they would get out of Pelican Bay, and then we would get them to try to do program. So they would get out the hole of doing 10, 15 years in the hole, in the Shoe program, and then they would come out and try to program around people. So so level 4 is a maximum security. That's the big house.
That's the big house.
Yeah.
That's the big house. And what sort of population, like as far as size, is that prison? Like how many would they hold?
Okay, so it's supposed to hold 3,200, I believe, but sometimes we have 4,500.
Yeah.
It just depends on what laws are passed. Like like recently, well, I remember when AB 109 passed, they kicked a lot of people out. So it just depends on what laws are passed, or then 3 strikes when they cut out the 3 strikes. A lot of people went home off that.
Yeah, and now they thinking about reeling some of that back in out here in California because they see how some of those things happen, how they affected us locally. Like you said, when AB 109 passed, all those people got kicked out of the state prisons, and then they started getting housed in the county jails.
Yeah,
and then those things started getting overcrowded. So then they started kicking people out of the county jails. So it was just a snowball effect.
Yeah, and a lot of times people. I love the people I worked with at Salinas Valley State Prison. It was like a family because we needed each other. So we just understood, we're never going to be in those rooms when they're making those decisions. So we just got to do the best we can so don't nobody get hurt.
Yeah.
And then with on the street, the regular person might not be able to tell prison tattoos from regular tattoos. So, there's a lot of people walking around in our communities that, got kicked out. You do 10, 15 years in a level 4 prison, and then they kick you out. You learn, your criminal intellect went up.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So out of all those 20 some odd years over there working in the prison environment, what was sort of the things that you did over there?
Okay, so I was a correctional officer, so I was just when I got there, they just took the weights out. So I got there in 99. I believe they took the weights out in 96, 97. So, you had a lot of dudes in there, was shoot, 20, to see 67 dudes with 20-inch arms, that was regular back then, because they just took the weights out, and then they started making their own weights with, putting a whole bunch of legal books in a pillowcase, lifting weights, or they would get a trash bag, fill it with water, make weights out of that, and then calisthenics, of course, push-ups, pull-ups, stuff like that. It was really so it was a new prison. So Salinas Valley State Prison opened up in 96. I got there in 99. So everybody was still, all the gangs, the prison gangs were still trying to fight for tables and areas on the yard. So,
Okay.
so yeah, it was growing pains, with, if the Southerners wanted this part of the yard, and no other gang was, usually didn't dispute it, then that was their part of the yard. And then, you would have, different black gangs, and the black gangs were the most split up. So you would have Crips and Bloods out there, and they would have good numbers, but then they had their part of the yard, and then the Bloods had their part of the yard. So, and then at that time, Dale, we had actually Muslims there. We had 5%ers there. So that population died out. Shoot, I can't even recall the last time I seen an actual Muslim in a level 4 yard.
And what do you think that's about?
Um, you get outnumbered, but this one Muslim guy told me when when the Muslims when everybody found out that Farrakhan had, when he admitted that he had something to do. I hope I don't, this is, you could look this up. He said it out of his own mouth when he said he probably had not had something to do with it, but he basically okayed from what speech he said that Malcolm X needed to get killed. So, a lot of times, you had a lot of older dudes from the 70s in there. There were a lot like civil rights guys in there. So,
Yep.
So they basically, told the Muslims, like, you guys don't have no weight here no more on a level 4 yard.
Okay. But did they, like after hearing Farrakhan say that, did they kind of like say, start really just not really joining that movement? Like newer people saying, I'm not about that no more.
In a level 4, if your gang or your organization has a flaw or is weak, you can't program there no more. You have to get off the yard. So
okay,
it was a mass exodus of those type of guys, outwardly Muslims, on a level 4 yard. All I know is level 4. All I know is maximum security. So I'm not saying that there's not any, but at one time you had a large number of.
Okay. What I always, from the outside looking in, I always thought, the Muslims were people that, once they got inside, they got incarcerated, they got indoctrinated to being the Muslims, because that's more of a, a power rehabilitation move, to be more than what you are, to be more than a criminal, so that when you get out, you can be powerful, you can be educated, you can be, move forward with your life. Is that kind of like what it was, or was it really just another prison gang?
Well, I'll just say this. You have to, in a level 4, you have to group up with somebody. You cannot be independent. So, there were some Christians in there, but there were some Christians dudes that was Bloods or Crips. Now, you might be able to go to church, but you on a level 4 yard at that particular time. Now, I can't speak on it because the level 4 yards are more watered down now. But at that time, if you were non-affiliate or Christian, or you was a Muslim, that's how you had to run with that. But they go by, where were you born at? Well, I was born in San Bernardino. Okay, were you with the IE car? not necessarily blood or crip, but you with the eye, you can actually sell up with somebody, just to keep a, because if you single celled at that time, they would move a single cell guy and put 2 Mexicans or 2 whites in there. So you would want a black dude that might have been non-affiliate to sell up with you, just so you won't lose that house and lose the numbers on the yard.
Okay, I got you. Man, politics, right? Politics on the yard over there, right?
All the time, yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. And then when you first got in, it was just California Department of Corrections.
Absolutely.
And then they moved towards the rehabilitation part and even putting that in the name, right?
Arnold Schwarzenegger did that. Yes,
he
put that in play. He also furloughed us too. He also took away days that we were working 2 or 3 days for free.
What was that? Was that a budget thing, or what was that about?
Well, I never, I just turned 51 in July. I've never known the budget to be in the caught up or close to it. Never. So, it went through, and nobody saw a difference. So, that went away. But, and then too, you have us, again, all I know is level 4. You got men and women working in those prisons, risking their lives every day. And like I said, dealing with a level 4 yard, the violence is real different from other prisons. I'll just say, especially ours, Salinas Valley State Prison. It was like ever since I've been there, we've always had the most use of force. And again, I did 24 years. We always had the most use of force, most staff assault, riots, all that. It was a real. But like I said, the only way something like that could work is if the staff trust each other, and if the staff, the staff have to trust each other. We have to. We were definitely a unit back then when the prison first opened. Everybody used to always transfer out of their deal, but everybody would come back. Everybody came back.
Yeah, it's like a family over there, right?
Yeah.
Had to have each other's back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Did you see a lot of you said there was a lot of staff assaults?
Oh, yeah.
What would happen to a lot of those guys? Because they in there, a lot of them are lifers and they got nothing to lose anyway. How'd you guys handle them?
Well, okay, so when I first got there, January, they just had Thanksgiving. They call it the Thanksgiving Massacre on Delta Yard. So that was when the Southerners attacked the staff. So the Southerners, they jumped on staff on the yard. So when usually when a prison gang has hit out on staff, it's not a surprise. We have some intel we know, but you just have to wait till it officially happens. So when I got there, when I got there, the prison was locked down from the Thanksgiving massacre. So when I got to prison, I didn't see no inmates till probably like my first 6 months. And then when they came up, when the whole prison came off lockdown, because a lot of staff, got stabbed, a lot of staff got, beat up real bad. A lot of staff got their, at that time, their PR-24s, you can't find 7, 8 dudes. And at that time, everybody came out. So it was at least, 300 something dudes out on the yard. And, a good majority of those were Southerners. So,
what's a Southerner?
A Southerner is a Mexican, usually. So it's a Mexican gang in the prison. Mm-hmm. So they have gangs from Indio all the way till Santa Barbara. But when you come into prison, you're under that umbrella of being a Southerner. So you're a Southerner.
As opposed to the Norteños, which are
Northern and then the Bulldogs, and then every other different faction that has Mexican heritage in it.
Okay, so they were involved with the massacre, and what were the other groups like the the whites and the blacks, were they part of that too, or what?
Oh, no. If the Southerners will tell the whites and the blacks and everybody, hey, we gonna hit staff. So they know that that everybody just get out the way and then let them do let them do their thing. And then they're strategic. They position themselves and their instructions on who they're gonna attack, what time they're gonna do it, and all that. So when I got there, that already happened. And then the next staff assault was this guy had got stabbed by a Southerner in the chow hall. So he stabbed one of the dining officers a couple of times. Then we went back on lockdown. Then the other staff assault. This is all within not even 2 years. Me being me being there, I'm still on probation.
Right? Did you was talking about that you had second thoughts when you was working in fire?
Mm-hmm.
Did you have second thoughts when you saw all that going down?
Listen, I'm gonna keep it 100. I remember calling my parents and be like, I don't know what I got into. Like this,
right?
This, like people, you see prison movies and you see, stuff on YouTube or whatever, but the sounds and smells and the thick tension, with it's a real thing. Like no movie, no anything you see on TV is not going to give you the full picture at all.
Wow. But on the flip side, there was also people that went in there, did their time. They got the rehabilitation part, right?
Well, see, we're talking level 4. Remember,
okay,
so level 4.
So that's usually just for the level 1s, and those guys get it.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, did people want to change? Absolutely. I don't think everybody in there wanted to kill somebody, but it was just, if you got orders to do it, you had to do it. If you had orders to, whatever, a lot of youngsters don't know when you go in there, you can't just, and I'm just speaking again, Dale, from a level 4, the final destination. When you get there, you're not your own man. A lot of people say, I'm gonna just do my time, or I'm not. You can't. I've never met anybody who said they're just going to do their own time in a level 4. Somebody is going to tell you what to do that you probably never seen before, never met. You get orders. They get orders from, at that time, they was getting orders from Pelican Bay. All the heavies all the shot callers were in Pelican Bay. So that's where you get your orders from. And the people on the yard. So, yeah.
Right. That's crazy. That's crazy. I was going to say, if the staff knows that, the higher ups know that that's the culture, why don't they work to kind of change that? But, these cats, like you said, speaking from level 4, they did something to get there in the first place. So, that's just what they into, right? That's what they did. So that's why they're there.
Yeah. And see, Del, level, a lot of guys will tell me, I can't be on the street.
Yeah.
I can't be on the street. A lot of dudes were state raised. A lot of dudes went from juvenile hall to YA to prison. I mean, I've even had grandpas, brothers, uncles, sons, all on the same yard. So
that's crazy.
Whole generations. This like I said, you go to prison to basically have a family reunion.
That's crazy. That's crazy because we talk about the statistics of a lot of people that look like us being in the prison and the jail system. Mm-hmm. How can we change that? Especially from the inside. How can you change that?
Well, see, it all goes back to what my dad was trying to give the youngsters in the group home. I'll just say it like this, and again, if it don't, whoever will see this, if it don't apply to you, it don't apply to you. If you're making a child, you can't call yourself a father unless you're there taking care of your kid. If it offends you, I'm just saying I've seen it firsthand. A lot of young guys are angry, mad, and pissed off because they don't have no champion in the home. They're mad and angry because nobody taught them how to fight. They had to get beat up 5 or 6 times to learn how to fight. And then This is one thing I know about men, and it really don't matter what color you are, but just specifically talking about minorities. Um, if you okay, so you got somebody that's growing up in a home that has a father. There's a lot of things that father has put into that young man, whether he did it on purpose or not. I remember walking around with my dad. I would just see how my dad, conducted himself around other men. There's no way I
Right.
could have got that education unless watching this dude who got, I got we got last names together. That's my dad. There's no way I would have got that. A lot of times, and well, no, I'll say a lot of times. Yeah, I'll say a lot of the time. A lot of the times, the black inmates wouldn't receive instruction from somebody that quote unquote black CO, is because they got that anger in there.
Mm.
They're not used to a black. Like, I'm used to, if I got a black supervisor, or whatever. I'm used to seeing a black man in authority because I had one in my house. But if you don't have that in your house, you've been addressed by black men to fight and hurt all the time. That's the only interaction you have with black men. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean, and again, I know a lot of people going, whatever. Like I said, if I've been in there 20, I've worked with juveniles who, I would see crying at night because they knew their daddy wasn't coming to get them. They knew they didn't have no daddy. It was like, there's no help coming. I'll just
Yep.
say it like that. And then now I've seen big killers, who I remember when I first got in there, Dale, a lot of dudes would tell me, a lot of older inmates would tell me, they was like, man, you had a dad at home, huh? And I'll be like, how'd you know that? They said, I could just tell. What they saw or whatever, I don't know. I don't know if that was a compliment, a compliment or what, but just the way I conducted myself, I knew how to deal with men at a young age from watching my dad, then seeing, the transformation that he did in some young men, what they
Yep.
needed. And then now at the adult stage, you have these adult men who never got those basic principles of, how to actually be a man. And a lot of times, people walk around here saying they a man or whatever, but show me your responsibility. You say you a father. Let's talk to your kids and let's see if you are a father, not just, you're a male that has a kid. That means that your organs work. That don't mean you a father.
That don't mean you're a father.
Yeah, it don't mean that. Sorry, getting off topic, but go ahead.
No, man, that's what's up. That's what's up. And some people need to hear that. And like you said, if it don't apply to you, then you just listen to what you're saying. But if it does apply to you, hey, maybe take some of that internally and make some changes. Make some changes. But so now that you are retired now, what are you up to now? What are you doing now?
Okay, so my dad has my dad is a pastor. He has a church. So when I got out, when I retired,
When you got
when I
man, you did your time and you got out, man.
yeah, when I retired, there were just some security things that I saw, being at the church, and then a lot of the church, people shooting up the church, or going in there stabbing, a lot of the church stuff was happening. So, we just put our heads together, and I was like, well, we could do this, this, and this, and change, certain things that, because you looked at the church as a safe ground. So I just implemented some things, and then we had actually converted a part of the church into an active shooter training center. And that was one of the first in the Inland Empire to do that. And his church is called Westside Worship Center in San Bernardino. And it's on 16th Street in San Bernardino. You know San Bernardino, you know about 16th Street, you know right where it's at. But he grew up in San Bernardino. He has a heart for the people. He doesn't want to, go to these, like warehouse buildings now. He wants to be in the hood, in the community where the people need transformation.
Right, right. And what sort of things that you do over there, working in your position?
Yeah, so it just kind of actually happened on an accident, to where now our church is secure. We have security protocols. We have workplace violence prevention program installed, which I ended up, doing that. So anyway, long story short, I ended up starting a business called Secure Faith Solutions. And what we do is we bring businesses with 10 employees up to Cal OSHA compliance. Now, a lot of businesses don't know that Cal OSHA will fine you. If you have 10 employees, Cal OSHA will fine you up to 10. The first fine is 18K. The second fine is 25K, and you shutting your doors if you don't have a workplace violence prevention plan in place. So I teach businesses that, I teach churches that. So it's kind of like a Cal OSHA compliance / security, teaching church security.
That's a shame that we need that nowadays too.
Yeah, it is. But that's the climate. That's the climate.
That's the world we live in. That's crazy. That's crazy. Have you ever had to? Has anyone in your staff had to implement any of those measures, that training that you do?
No, you know what? Most of the time at my dad's church, you might get some homeless people in there.
Okay.
Like in the bigger, I'll say the mega churches, like the Joel Osteen incident. I just try to, cause see, a lot of churches. Well, I'll just say this: a lot of churches with people that look like us, they don't want that training. They gonna pray it away.
Okay.
They got Deacon Jones that been in there. He was in Vietnam or something, and he know how to. It's just like you have to be tactical about this. You have to, because the guy that shot up Joel Osteen's church, he made it from the parking lot all the way past everybody with the gun bag. So that could have been prevented. If you're a church security member, I'm gonna just say this: you're not there to enjoy the service. You're there to work. You're there to look and see and try to find stuff. You don't, God understands he's not gonna, we got YouTube, watch it later, but you're there to watch and look and see who looks funny. And, I teach a lot of church security staff how to do temperature checks on somebody, what I call, hey brother, how you doing? And you give them a hug and you give them a little quick pat down. Oh, okay. Well, how you doing? And they don't even really, you just checked them for a weapon. So I just teach church security who wants that training. I just teach them a lot of stuff. I have a staff member. I have a wonderful staff. I have a active LAPD officer on my staff. I have a marketing executive on my staff. I have a therapist on my staff. I'm gonna just say this, Dale, because we do live scenarios at people's churches. So because I tell them, I said, we're gonna find out if you're church security or you're an usher, and there's no shame in that. But we need ushers to see people, but we need church security people that's gonna go hands on. That's what we need. So a lot of times you have these church security guys who are bigger dudes or whatever, but when we put them in these scenario situations and we have weapons that look real, like I said, my staff is, I'm so blessed to have a staff like that. Great actors. You talk about, I'm like I said, I'm just blessed. It's supposed to be. This business is supposed to be. We put these church security staff and members to where, we'll have a situation to where a guy will put a gun to his head and say, you want to talk to the pastor. What are you going to do? Are you going to take them in there, or are you going to, what's your plan of, what's your communication with the local PD? Do you guys have a relationship with the local PD? You need to have that. Church, church security can't just be church security. We have to play an offensive game in church security.
Wow. That's something to understand only if you're there. I mean, only if you're a part of it, because like I said before, it's a shame that we have to have that nowadays, but when it happens in your congregation, you don't want to be, wondering if there's going to be somebody there to help.
And a lot of times, like the church executive or administrator tell me, oh no, we got a couple of police officers in here. And I'll just say this: the police officer works 5 days a week. Why are you gonna have him go to church and work?
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to be there where you want to enjoy the service for his 1, maybe 2 days off. And I would tell him, don't put that. Yeah, that's a great resource to fall back on, but you know, why not train up a team to where that's what they do? You
That's
know,
what they
you
do.
can't, yeah, you can't depend on, oh, well, I know that guy's a cop and he got a gun. He'll take care of it. You know, realistically, I don't know about you, but if I'm in church and something go down, I'm getting my family and I'm gone. You know, if it's a mass shooter like that happening, I'm,
Right.
yeah, we're not, you know, but hopefully it'll come around. Hopefully it'll come around to where, you can't, you know, God specifically puts people down here with wisdom and knowledge in these areas. The church has to utilize them. The church has to.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to your life with corrections,
Mhm.
did you get all this kind of skills and stuff with working there in corrections that you can take with you off the job now?
So, well, yeah, and I was a staff, I was a CO for a many number of years. And then one of the lieutenants there, Jamie Rodriguez, he pulled me in to be a staff trainer. I did my time the right way there. I didn't cross nobody. I didn't backstab nobody. People knew I was there, to support them, in our job. So, I had a good name there. So he brought me in, and I trained a lot of people too, a lot of young staff. So he brought me in to be a staff trainer. And I don't know if you guys, have the in-service training where you got to do the hours of this. So, I did that. What I did learn is this generation that's working now, really, we can't just throw them away and say they're this generation, they don't know how to work. I'm just glad when I got to work, nobody did me like that. Like, even though they're growing up with all this technology, with everything kind of they want it handed to them, we still got to train them. But going back to what I learned in prison, what I learned in prison is this term that the state uses called hypervigilance. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's a state of being um, totally aware of your surroundings for that period of time, to where your heart rate goes up. All these chemicals in your body are racing through your system while you're on duty. In a prison, I don't know about PD, but when they come out to yard, we're outnumbered out there. It's a whole bunch of dudes out there. So there's no time to relax out there when your safety is involved or other inmates' safety is involved. So there's this hyper vigilance that you have, to where you see everything, and it's a curse. Watch, when you retire, Dale, you're gonna be going in the store and you're gonna be like, I'm retired. I see everything.
Oh yeah,
I'm,
I'm doing it now. I'm
it's a,
doing it now. Yeah,
it's a.
yeah.
So I'm
Oh
saying,
yeah.
when you totally get out and you just, I'm gonna go to the store. I'm retired. It's just like, wow, I still need to dial this back down.
Okay.
But yeah, I learned all that, and especially awareness, situational awareness, reading the room, knowing when it's time to leave, or knowing when it's time to step up and check somebody's temperature. Uh,
Right.
so you learn all that. You learn all that in level 4 prisons. I learned a lot of it with the inmates. Just looking, like looking where they're looking. And then they'll tell me, hey, Stu, just you doing a double today? Like, and I'll be like, why you want to know that? Oh, okay, well, I hope you brought I hope you brought some lunch. I know something's gonna happen.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
just being made aware of that, and another thing too, deal like with like we do an incident, or people in the PD, if they have a major incident, um, the chemicals in your body, the adrenaline, the all anxiety, all this stuff. People don't realize, being in law enforcement, that it takes 16 hours for your total body chemistry to go back to normal. And we're working doubles. We're providing for our family. We're trying to still be a family person. And you really don't know what a toll it takes on your body. I've worked there, the time I've worked there, 56 people have passed away since I've worked there, at Salinas Valley State Prison. 4 of my partners, Dale, committed suicide. So, I mean, and then you got spousal murder. I remember this one particular female who her husband, shot her in the head I'm not gonna say her name, but her husband shot her on the head on Christmas Day. Another coworker, the female, stabbed him to death. I had a coworker who he stabbed himself. I had a coworker, and this is the main story that I want to tell about, what law enforcement does to a person.
Yeah.
So it was this real quiet guy, real quiet guy, respectful, never got into it with nobody. It was a situation to where it was a barricade situation. So he's barricaded himself in his home with his 2-year-old son and his wife. So, the place, the SWAT team got the place surrounded. The wife comes running out of the house. He's got a gun. It was 2 shots heard. The police go in. He shot his 2-year-old son in the head, and then he took his own life. So what I used to try to tell young staff is, you making money, you're successful, you have a career, but our lives are so fragile still, even though we got a gun and a badge, a vest on. Your mental health, we just don't realize the toll that it takes. Like I said, I had a hero of mine who trained me. I mean, this dude was the police. Like he looked the part. He was an old Marine, stuff creased out, smoky hat on, and he trained me, and he took his life. And, being a young correctional officer at the time, I didn't know how to process that. But the process, and I know you can attest to that, well, you just keep going.
Yeah.
You shake it off and keep going. And we really need to take inventory of ourselves. And I hate to use the word support group, but what I want to start now, I want to start a first responder restoration group, just to restore each other, just for, and it's
restoration.
I want to make
that. I like that.
Because when you hear support, Dale, you think weak. You think, oh, I don't want to be weak. I don't need no support or whatever. But this is, it's an organization that I'm gonna start. Is gonna call Restoring Responders. So we give so much of ourselves to the community, then we spread a little bit with our family, and then there's really nothing left for us to function, and we just keep going. So I want us to tell stories. I want this too. I want the young guys who you see, decades in the department, what mental state are you at? What physical? When we came in, we was in shape. Remember them academy days?
Oh yeah. I remember.
We was walking around and we I think our group invented the medium shirt. So we was walking around in shape, and then you get 10 years in your career, and it's like, and then 20, and then retirement. All those 3 phases are Dale was an officer when he first got in there. He was this type of officer. Mid-career, Dale was this kind of officer. Now, close to retirement, you're gonna be a totally different officer. Yep. So, we need, and like I said, by the Spirit of God, I got that revelation to where, rookies, mid-career guys and retirement guys, we all need to restore each other and say, look, so somebody like me will go to a first-year guy. Hey, man, look, do it this way. Do your time this way. Do your police work this way. And then those mid guys need to talk to those older guys because they're almost there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the thing that I was really blessed with my time there was, my one thing my dad told me is you got to get a mentor in there. You got to get a mentor. You got to get somebody in your own age group, and then you got to have a youngster that you bringing along. So that's one thing that I really held dear, and I did that. But I'm going off on something else.
No, man, that's what's up, man. I love hearing that, man. That's some good words of wisdom. I appreciate that. And man, this is a good talk. It's a good talk.
Thank you.
Good talk, man. I learned a lot about corrections rehabilitation. Before I let you go, let me ask you, because you were talking about having a good name as far as the department, the people you work with. How about, on the other side, on the inmates? You did mention that, somebody would come up to you, hey, Stu, maybe drop some information. You know, I say the same thing when you're working out on the streets. So long as you treat people with respect, they will treat you with respect. Earlier you talked about, they would put hits out on certain staff members,
Yeah.
And I would assume those are the ones that would be disrespectful or what have you. Talk about, working with that population.
Okay, so it is true that certain staff would get hits put out on them, but that's not a spur of the moment thing. Like that has to go through a lot of gang channels for that
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen because their drug money is going to stop because they're not going to have time with their family or on the yard or stuff. So when you hit a staff, we going on lockdown, so everybody is going to lose on that. Even the other races are going to lose. Some of the time. So that never really happened. I'll just say this with certain gang organizations, a staff hit really had to go through some channels first before that was, blessed and green lighted. But a lot of times it would just be, if a guy wanted to PC up, I remember one time in my young career, this guy, he wasn't locking it up. He wasn't going back to his cell. So I called myself going there and lock it up. So, I tried on the second tier and I'm in shape. I'm brand new. My thing is I shouldn't have did it by myself because as soon as I went up there, he tried to throw me off the tier. Now we fighting and don't nobody know where I'm at. So we go to so watch this. So he files excessive force. He comes to court, Dale, in a neck brace and a cane. And I'm like,
that's gonna happen.
I'm looking at him like, wow, but I'm brand new. I'm still on probation. The court proceedings probably lasted 2 weeks. I lost 15 pounds. I'm calling my mama, they gonna fire me. They gonna fire me. This dude talking, but he told me after, I got exonerated, he was like, hey, Stu, they told me to hit the first police that came up the stairs. It just happened to be you. And he looked at it like, it's business, it's church, it's prison business. So it really doesn't have to be, a CO or officer being disrespectful. Sometimes, though, like I said, it has to be blessed and went through a lot of channels, or it has to be, some stuff to where they keep, like I said, rarely have I seen, unless it was a PC move to get off the yard, just somebody to take off on staff, just somebody to just assault staff. But that happened, I've seen, a lot of females get knocked out. Just so a guy get off the yard because he owed money. Or he did something wrong in his gang faction and he got to get off the yard. So instead of knocking me out, they'll knock a female out because it's easier. It's an easier target. It's a soft target. I'll just say that.
Right. Man. And PC meaning what for the audience that don't know?
Sorry, protective custody. They call it sensitive needs now. Sensitive need yard. So a sensitive need yard is a dropout yard. So when you don't want to participate in gang activity no more, they have a specific yard for you to where you're saying that, well, actually you had to tell on people to get over there. You had to give up some good information to be able to go to that yard to really say you're done with this gang life. So you giving up who got the dope, who got the phones, who got the weapons, what's going to happen, who's bringing stuff in. A lot of this deal, who's dirty in this as the staff. What officer, I've experienced that too. I've experienced, this dude I went to the academy with from San Diego, man. I remember we was getting off work. Mind you, again, I got a real education like my first 2 years there. So we leaving, and then we see like a group of squad members, the internal investigations who, they basically investigate staff, if they're dirty. So, they're congregated up there by the gate where we about to leave. So he tells me, I'm gone, Stu. And I'm like, yeah, we leaving. And he's like, no, I'm gone. So we go through the gates or whatever, show our ID, and they cuff him up. And I'm just like looking like, oh, that's what he meant. But he was selling weed for the blacks. He was from San Diego. He was a Mexican blood from San Diego. So he was selling weed for the blacks. So, dirty, a lot of dirty staff get hit because when you don't want to do, I remember when cell phones first came out, they was $1,000 a piece. So, you get a guy here who just came from Walmart. And they telling me, every phone I bring you, I get $1,000. That's 10 bands just doing that. He
Right.
can, so I mean, and then, you have women and men who fall in love with these guys. So, you might have a staff assault behind that. They don't want to be my boyfriend no more or whatever. And you'll get assaulted behind that. Or you're not bringing in stuff no more. So.
Yep. I guess just don't get caught up in it in the first place, and you ain't got to worry about,
But you know what,
that
yeah,
on the end place.
that's a seed though. All that need to get you, when you got that job, that was a seed in there. If that
Yes.
seed was never in there, all they had to do was get some water on it and some sunlight.
Yep.
So it don't like somebody's like, oh, I didn't know I was gonna be doing that. No, it was in there. It
was in you.
Yeah. And I've seen nurses and COs with spouses there at the job leave them and start visiting the inmate.
Yep. I know. That's why they call us the human race, man. It's all kinds in there.
Yeah.
All kinds up in there. Hey man, I'm glad you made it to the other side.
Okay.
You're doing God's work now, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. How about some words of wisdom before I get you out of here for people
Okay.
out there aspiring maybe to get into this profession?
Okay, so what I'll say to a young person or a person wanting to get into the Department of Corrections, what the Department of Corrections will do, it'll definitely show you who you are. You need to have exact, clear boundaries before working in there. If your boundaries aren't clear, if you're reckless and messy, as a civilian, you'll be reckless and messy as an officer. So if that's your lifestyle, just do yourself. I know the money is good, but do yourself a service and just don't do it, because you're going to be around a whole bunch of men who are very, very versed in psychology as far as finding your weakness, finding what you like, how you take a compliment. Do you take compliments? If you are a female and you're wearing your clothes tight like you wore on the street, you shouldn't go in there wearing your uniform like that, or dress like you going to prom with your makeup or whatever, long nails and all that. That's a weakness to them. You might say, "Oh, it's my individuality" or whatever. They're looking at that as a weakness, and they're gonna try you. If you're a man trying to work in there, you have to really, really know who you are as far as a man. If you're a tough guy, you have to be a tough guy for 30 years. If you're a pushover, you're gonna be a pushover for 30 years. You got to find that medium balance, and hopefully you get a mentor or talk to somebody who has worked in there and will tell you, this is how you have to be. You have to put how you were raised, what you were taught. You got to put all that to the side, and you have to be a correctional officer for that time. When you start mixing those two, which they say don't, there is some type of humanity to it. Yes, you do have compassion, you do have empathy, but you on the clock. Somebody is signing your check. One of my mentors told me, until you sign your own check, you do however you want to. But make sure you know who you are, and then ask other people what type of person you are. They'll tell you. If you have some real friends around, some people who care about you, they'll tell you who you are, and believe them, especially if they've been around you for some years. So, know who you are as a man and a woman, know your boundaries as a man and a woman. And like I said, I was fortunate to have a wonderful career. I was so blessed to meet everybody at Salinas Valley State Prison. I want to give a shout out to everybody working at SVSP. When you get around good people, then you usually do good. You usually do good. So that's my words of wisdom. I hope it does help somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure it will, man. Hey, I appreciate those words. And hey, man, now that you out, do good things. Do good things out here. And a long life, man. You were talking about earlier how that takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
A lot of people after they retire, they kill off within the first 5 to 8 years, so
No, Dale, listen.
Restoration, man. Restoration, like you said.
It's turning into months now. You got dudes that look like that stop talking. Like this one dude, I remember he retired. He was 56. He just stopped talking, and he couldn't use the bathroom by himself no more. This stuff really we don't understand, but just because we don't see it, outwardly, it is really taking a toll. But yeah, restoration.
100%, man. Hey, brother, man, you take care, man, and I appreciate it.
Hey, wait to see you on the other side, Dale. Come
yes,
on,
sir. I'm there next year. Next year, brother. Next year, brother. I'm there. Right. I'm counting them. Okay. All right, brother. You take care, man. Appreciate you.
All right.
Okay, now another amazing conversation in the books for the Black and Blue Podcast. I want to thank retired California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation Officer Anthony Stewart for pulling up and dropping some knowledge on us today. Good luck to you, sir, in your new venture at Secure Faith Solutions. If you guys enjoyed my conversation with Anthony, hey, let me know by leaving a comment in the section below. I'll be back real soon with another amazing conversation with a minority in U.S. law enforcement. But till then, y'all know the phrase, stay black in blue. I'll holler at you. I'm out.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.